When my yoga journey began, I had no idea where it would lead me. At first, I was concentrated on the physical side of things and dwelled on performing the poses well. And I would go to class at the gym, set my mat right up by the mirror, right up by the teacher, just so I could reenact or replicate the flow. I learned a lot from these early classes and experiences, but they were all very surface level. It wasn't until later on, a few months into my practicing, that I began to notice that coming to my mat provided an opportunity to look in rather than out. With my background as a performing artist, my unique challenge wasn't so much the physical asana or poses in yoga, but rather I came to realize that I had to work through and still have to work with some patterns of self-criticism and this kind of performative expectation I have for myself. And it took a very different approach for me to realize this deeper truth and begin my work. My whole practice changed after my first restorative class. I still practice flow-style yoga on a regular basis, but rather than strengthening and stretching so much, what I really needed was this kind of yoga, restorative yoga, to help me nurture and rest my body, so in turn I could ease my mind. Restorative yoga invites you to let go and be still a while. It is a kind of practice that helps to relieve stress and anxiety while avoiding any kind of strain and cultivating presence. It is a more meditative practice in this way that turns our attention deeply inward. By resting fully supported in poses for 5 to 15 minutes at a time, we give the body and mind an opportunity to settle down. Animals' nervous systems can be broken down into sympathetic and parasympathetic systems. The sympathetic nervous system activates the well-known fight, flight, or freeze response. The parasympathetic nervous system, on the other hand, controls the rest and digest response. The balance between these two systems is very delicate, and all too often our modern lives provoke the SNS, and every little thing starts to trigger that fight, flight, or freeze. Which is why using these restorative yoga practices to intentionally switch into PNS, rest and digest, is so nourishing and honestly vital for a healthy body and a healthy mind. Yoga is often thought of as being this very structured, physically active, and even exhaustive activity. And some might look at restorative yoga and wonder why they'd spend an hour just lying on the ground. But I would ask you, why wouldn't you? Our lives are pretty jam-packed. Schedules dictating where we need to be, what we need to do, our responsibilities seeming endless at times, and even at the end of a slower day, we can feel exhausted. So rather than practicing in a fast and active way during a fast and active life, take time to slow down and chill out. Lie on the ground and do nothing. Sometimes it is the most productive use of your time. I think if more people practiced restorative yoga, we'd be living in a very different world. Because when we take care of ourselves, we are then better able to take care of others. Restorative yoga is a tool, accessible to anyone at any time. We'll talk about the importance of props in a moment, but please know that you can find balance and restore unsupported too. Like I said, by just lying down on the ground, you're doing the practice. Shavasana, or corpse pose, is the embodiment of restorative yoga. Complete relaxation. Typically though, I would recommend setting up time and a space for your practice. Get cozy and comfortable, maybe even warm up with a cup of tea. Most often, restorative yoga is done in the afternoon to break up your day, or in the evening to help you wind down and even prepare for sleep. I always practice with props to rest fully supported with no effort needed. And you can easily support yourself in your own practice with what you have available at home. If you need ideas on how to do so, check out this video. For me, there are certainly days where restorative poses feel quite nourishing in the morning too, though. So just listen to your body. And if it tells you that it needs some rest, gift yourself that time and attention. We live in a very active world and society. One could relate this kind of energy to that of the sun. These slower and gentler practices bring us into balance with lunar energy, like the moon. Cooling, reflective, more nurturing energy. Meditation, yoga nidra, yin yoga, and of course restorative are the moon practices that I rely on to calm my mind, ease my body, and connect with peace. For more info on those other moon practices I mentioned, check out the breakdowns in the description below. By integrating this type of introspective and rejuvenating practice into your life, I'm confident that over time you'd start to feel some shifts inside and out. You can of course join me for the restorative live streams here on the channel, but please be sure to also gift yourself those soothing pauses through your day. Whether you put your legs up on the wall during your lunch break or rest in reclined butterfly, Supta Baddha Konasana, before you go to bed, just take a few moments to nurture yourself. Peace and love. Namaste.